Hello, welcome to Dundros Podcast. I'm your host Justin. So we're reviewing another murder mystery film. This time we're reviewing Bloodwork, the 2002 crime thriller, directed and starring Clint Eastwood, Jeff Daniels, Anjelica Huston, Wanda De Jesus, Tina Lifford, Paul Rodriguez, and Dylan Walsh from Michael Crichton's Congo and Niptuck. If you ever watched those shows. So yeah, I gotta say, I kind of enjoyed this movie because it was it was very much like a geezer thriller. Because you have Clint Eastwood, who's like 60 years old in this film. I've always said that Clint Eastwood should have retired after Unforgiven, because he's just too old in the film, right? Clint Eastwood plays this FBI profiler who's working on this serial killer case. This serial killer likes to leave codes written in blood at the murder scene. He's investigating this murder with Dylan Walsh and Paul Rodriguez when he sees a man with blood spattered shoes. He goes to chase the man, and it's an obvious stunt double. Very obvious stunt double. Very, like, Irishman level stunt double, right? And when you do see Clint Eastwood run, it is not good. It is not good. Though I will say this, he does not look as decrepit as he did in Gran Torino, which was another fucking film where he should have retired after that. Unforgiven, he should have retired, but then after Gran Torino, he definitely should have retired from acting. Man, oh my god. So I refuse to see any recent Clint Eastwood movies because it's like I don't want to see Dirty Harry as a decrepit zombie. So he's chasing this serial killer, right? And as soon the dude climbs the fence, Clint Eastwood attempts to climb the fence and has a heart attack. Has a heart attack and decides, oh shit, I'm gonna die anyway. So he pulls out his gat and unloads it on the fleeing suspect, right? And blacks out. 2 years later, he gets a new heart from Anjelica Huston, who plays his doctor in the film, right? And he gets visited by the sister of the organ donor, who tells him, "Hey, my sister's heart is beating through your veins, and she was murdered. I feel like it's your duty to solve her murder." Right? She was apparently killed and robbery gone wrong. He starts investigating and realizes that she was not murdered in a robbery gone wrong, but she was targeted. Her and other guy who was killed like 2 weeks before, who happened to have his same blood type and were organ donors. So he figures out that the people who were murdered because of him, because he needed a new heart, and that they were killed by the cold serial killer, right? Who wanted Clint Eastwood's character to have a new heart, and so they can play their game of cat and mouse. Throughout the film, he starts to develop this relationship with the sister who's taking care of her nephew, who was orphaned, right? And his only friend in the film is Jeff Daniels, who is a boat bum, who apparently who lives on the boat, which Clint Eastwood lives in a boat too, so they're like neighbors, right? And he drags him along to drive him around while he solves the case, right? So the movie is pretty much a geezer thriller. You have Clint Eastwood is too old in the film. So he uses payphones back when they still had payphones everywhere. And somebody was like, "Why don't you get like a cell phone?" He's like, "I don't believe in cell phones, right?" And there's even a point where like they're investigating he's supposed to be like this FBI profiler, right? And they're investigating they're investigating, right? And once he figures out that that the killer was after like people's hearts for him, right? He's like, "Oh, you have this hilarious line in the movie. He somehow hacked the hospital's database. We need a computer man to find out how he did it." A computer man. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, there's also like running jokes with Paul Rodriguez character, who's basically harnessing Carlos Mencia throughout the film, right? And some of the lines are pretty funny. There's also a scene where where Clint Eastwood goes to talk to the cops and he brings like donuts, right? And they try to entrap him in the interrogation room, but he just like he looks through their plan, and they have this awkward donut eating scene with him and the two cops where they're eating donuts from like Denny's or whatever, right? So yeah, the movie is not a great film. It's kind of slow, but there are some great scenes here and there. Like there's a great scene where they're outside of the convenience store where the robbery happened, and he sees this. The first time he's there, he sees a guy in a car watching them. The second time he goes back there, the same car's there. So he goes into like the sheriff's with him. This black lady who's old friends with. He goes. He's like, "Hey, pop the trunk." He pops. They open the trunk. He pulls out a shotgun and immediately approaches the car and starts shooting. He pulls some really like Dirty Harry stuff in the film when he's supposed to be like this like smart like FBI profiler. I was like, what the fuck, Clint Eastwood, right? And like he's like. There's also a scene where in front of the press he takes out his gun and shoots it into a stack of newspapers to make a point that like, oh, because like what the code serial killer killed a guy and put like a bullet in his mouth, right? And it wasn't like the same caliber that he uses to kill the victims, right? So Clint Eastwood figures out, oh, now that he knows that was the guy he shot, that it was like he figures out, oh, that's the same caliber of bullet that I use for my gun. So that convinces all the cops that this is the same serial killer. This killer is the same guy, the same coded serial killer, right? Which is like, oh my, that probably would have gotten him arrested. Let's be real. Yeah, there's crazy shit like that. I would say the climax of the movie is pretty cool. You have this like showdown in this abandoned like boat wreck, right? Which was very like, Silent Hill-esque, right? Pretty cool. It was a pretty cool setting for a final showdown, but it kind of ended very anticlimactically, and it was very much like I don't know if it was an intentional reference to Dirty Harry, but like there's this scene where like the guy's wounded. He's spread out on the boat. He's reaching for his gun, and like Clint Eastwood just approaches him with his gun, like beat it on him, like waiting for him to like reach out to get the gun so he can shoot him. And it was very much like it was shot almost just like that famous scene from Dirty Harry. So I don't know what the fuck was going on, so if that was intentional or not. But yeah, I would say if you're a Clint Eastwood fan, this movie is somewhat, it is like somewhat worth watching. It was entertaining. It's entertaining. Like there was some genuine like funny scenes, some great shots. But yeah, it's like it really just shows that Clint Eastwood really should have retired from doing like action movies. Like he was already too old in Unforgiven, but like Unforgiven, he definitely should have retired, and he should have retired from drama films after Gran Torino. But yeah, this was a decent movie, right? So if I would give it like a 6 out of 10. So the next murder mystery film I'm gonna watch is Edge of Darkness with Mel Gibson, the 2010 film, right? All right, guys, that's it. Peace.